television. Today,
You are welcome to today's edition of the Newspunch. Today, we shall be discussing on the 2019 election further and the outcome and challenges of the supplementary election scheduled to hold on Saturday in some states in Nigeria. The states where the elections will be held include Sokoto, Kano, Adamawa, Benue, Plateau, and Bauchi states. The election is to determine winners in these 6 states where gubernatorial elections were earlier declared inconclusive by the Electoral Commission, INEC. Apart from that, elections will also hold in polling units in states where state assembly elections could not be declared. And we know that ahead of that election, there are reports that candidates of APC are inundating the presidency, seeking that President Buhari would use the clout of his office to help them in the forthcoming election to be in their favor. And then that brings to mind what happened earlier, some years ago, in Osun State and Ekiti State under a different president. However, in reaction to the party's expectation on the governorship candidate expectations, the presidency yesterday said that the President Buhari would neither interfere with the process nor change results in favor of the APC, which is the ruling party. They noted that the INEC was fully in charge. Some party leaders expected that Buhari would abuse his office by usurping the powers of INEC to turn the tables in their favor. He then advised leaders in the affected states to work hard to end the votes of the people. We know that past presidents were known to interfere in inconclusive elections. That's why party members appear upset presently that the same thing is not going to happen this time around. Ironically, while the president was saying that, members of the opposition PDP had concluded that the president would have the INEC assist his party to victory. So he has come out to say that he is not ready to help anybody to achieve victory, that they end or did not end. And we will know that where these elections are holding on Saturday, primarily PDP was winning, and then it was declaring conclusive. So on Saturday, Nigerians will go out in these states and in some wards in the House of Assemblies to determine who govern these states and then to fill up the vacant positions in the state assemblies. Today with me to discuss this issue and others, I have 2 prominent analysts. On my immediate left is Mystique Malin. He's the host of a TV talk show, Straight Talk, with Mystique Malin. Malin, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
On my immediate left, on my extreme left, is Mr. Spencer Anionwelo, who is also the host of a Prime View television, Heritage TV, where he hosts the podium. Mr. Anionwelo, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Gentlemen and ladies, we are here, as you have heard, what we are going to discuss. Election will be held in some states, 6 states in Nigeria tomorrow. Even that is for gubernatorial election to conclude what began last 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks now. And what should we expect? What should Nigerians expect from this election, seeing what has happened in the presidential election and the governorship election? What's the expectation? I start from you, Mr. Spencer.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on the program. Well,
we've seen the antecedents of INEC over the past, the past two elections. The first one that was postponed, and subsequently the rescheduled election, which all observers internationally and domestically are adjudicated and are judged to be credibly, relatively credible and free and fair. So I don't think we're going to see anything that's much different. I think INEC are probably much prepared this time to give us an election that's going to be much better than what we saw in terms of, the last time we saw areas where they had issues in terms of coming out on time, and there were issues of card readers not working properly, stuff like that. So I think this time around, given the I'll call it over a month of having held that election over the past 1 month, I think this time we should be seeing a much prepared INEC. This is what I hope. And the observers are obviously saying that they feel that everything's in place, the security have been contacted, and hopefully this time we're not going to see a lot more interference from the security personnel.
Yeah, Marlena, what do you think about the preparation of INEC?
Well, I hope they are prepared now, because the presidential, I didn't think they were actually very well prepared. Personally, I expect a fair and square election. And I'm sure average Nigerian expects so too. But most of all, I expect a cooperation, sincere level of cooperation between amongst the security agencies. Because they failed us, especially what happened in River State and what happened partly in Lagos State during the presidential. If you want to bring in the security agencies to guard the election, you should have a limit or a position where they are not allowed to get in, especially the polling booths and all that. So now, and knowing that most of these states that you're doing supplementaries right now, I call them the PDP, the opposition states, according to what records have been shown. So now, I just pray we have a fair and square election.
Okay, that brings me to the issue of violence in elections. How can we stop violence during elections? Because we saw what happened in River State and some other small spots in the country during election, particularly River State. It was mind-boggling. How do we stop the acts of violence in elections, particularly as we're having this one now in 6 states?
Yeah, I think if you see what happened before the election, the president and even the vice president and most of the candidates from different parties came together and signed an accord, a peace accord. So I think that was a way forward. But obviously in Nigeria, with the desperation for power, politicians are always wanting to do whatever they can to get hold of power, and that's why you're always seeing violence in Nigeria. I don't know why they can't abide by the rules. I mean, to deploy the military and get the police involved, it's the only way they know how to see if they can curb this thuggery. But in the West, like we're here in the UK, for instance, when there's elections, we never ever see the police getting involved. It's always peaceful and calm. But in Nigeria, because of this one, I would say, poverty that's in Nigeria, people see elections as an opportunity to get one over, to make money, and that's why you're seeing people go into all manner of vices to get hold of power. So to solve the election violence on the day, I think there's no other way but to involve the military, like what they're doing. I know it's not the best, but at the moment that's the only alternative. And what I'd say is, even in Nigeria, Nigerians are not too afraid of police in Nigeria. They're not afraid of the customs. The only people that Nigerians tend to be afraid of are the army. So once you bring out the army, it brings it out some level of calm. It did affect the level of turnout. Like the voter apathy, people said was, the number of people coming out to vote was a bit lower because of the presence of the security forces. But that's the only way you could actually rein in the thuggery we've seen so far.
Yeah, is there nothing? What is the role of political education, voter education, before elections? Because violence Many people lost their lives. For example, when you involve in the military only knows how to go and shoot, kill your
Can I
enemy.
chip in something?
Yes.
Yes, he said it all right, but then one point I have towards that is talks. When you put in a talk to represent you, that's what you get back. So now, if the people we're putting there to represent us are disciplined enough to just go out there and win election, then I believe that will cough down a little bit of violence. And then when you have people like, I'm not going to mention names, but when you have people like, they say the bad eggs in the House of Assembly, the godfathers of these big political parties and all that, and when they're not straightforward, you're bound to get things like that, like what happened in Lagos State. That's another thing you cannot, it's not the military, it has nothing to do with the military this time around. An individual decides to go and tear the ballot papers, and that's because they believe the opposition is winning. It has nothing to do with the military. But even if the military was there, maybe I believe if the military was there, it would have been more violent. It would have been worse than it was. So,
I think they serve the purpose of being a deterrent. Maybe that's what they should.
Yeah, but if they're deterred, there is also many people are shot, many people are killed.
Because of election.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the intention. The intention is to deter violence. But obviously, this winner takes it all mentality.
We saw a case. Saw a case where somebody was walking on the road, walking along, and there was a military man behind him. He shot him from the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it was just orchestrated by the ruling party to distract and then to win election. That's the way I saw this past election that just happened. So having military there is just not acceptable as well.
What's the options then? Are we just going to let it be a case of everyone do what they want? You need to bring in some sort of order. And the way what Nigerians know, whether you like it or not, Nigerians are not afraid of the police, whether you like it or not. Nigerians are not afraid of they don't listen to anything. So the only people that we all know that Nigerians are afraid of are the military. And another thing I wanted to add is, with the supplementary elections now, hopefully, given that the other states have been concluded, we're that would free up a lot more military people to come in. And obviously, with what's happened before, there's no doubt this time that they're going to definitely be careful. They know the eyes are watching them. So I think we're going to see a lot better, more organized, disciplined elections this time around.
Okay. We also, from what we read during the introduction, we noted that the presidency has to come out to issue a statement telling the parties in these states, 6 states, that they should not expect the president to help them rig election. I mean, for the presidents to come up with that kind of statement tells you that there are people who are putting pressure on the government to do what is supposed to be done. Election is there for people to go and cast their vote and win. What does that say about Nigerian politics? Somebody coming to the president or hoping on the president to help them rig, or somebody hoping on somebody to help them rig election, rather than depending on people's votes. What does that say about election in Nigeria?
Quoting that they did it for him, so they expect him to do it for them.
Yeah. So what does that say about our democracy? Almost how many years now democracy?
What I'd say is that it shows our level of infancy. Really, we're still growing. I mean, our democracy is what they call a nascent democracy, and I think that at the end of the day, the president's telling everyone, look, his things are not going to be the same anymore. Whatever you feel I should be doing for you, I'm not going to let indiscipline reign. This time around, there must be some sort of level of different, we must show the difference, the change. And this is all part of the change that he was preaching about. This is the first time we're hearing the president say something like this openly. And, it must be commended. So, to the governors who are battling or fighting for their political lives, the candidates, that are fighting for their political lives, they need to go out there and show the people why they should be voting for, and not rely on the president. The president's won his elections, and he doesn't want to meddle. He's saying, go out there, do what you need to do. So it all shows you our level of indiscipline as a people. We always look to blame the one at the top, but we have to look at ourselves. Nigerians need to start looking at themselves and not all the time pointing at someone at the top. What are we doing now? How do we behave? Given the opportunity, what would we do? So these are the challenges we're facing as a country.
So, Malian, what's your opinion about that? What does this say about our politics, our democracy?
Well, we have what I call not the complete democracy, because it's not government for the people. You know, we might have the government of the people, but not for the people, because they're there for their individual self, for their self. Whoever we vote in there or we voted in there, they're just there to gain themselves, their families, and all that. They don't care about the masses. Like he mentioned, poverty. Poverty is one of the things that really make Nigeria, that will make democracy not to stand. Because as long as you keep giving them, which I thought they've outgrown, giving them a bag of rice to go and vote, and they're still doing it. You saw videos of in the north where they were giving money, and like openly, you take this money, you go and put your vote, there was an incident, a woman that didn't actually, an Igbo woman took the money and didn't go and put, I don't know how they found out he didn't vote for the person. They nearly lynched the woman to death. So as long as we have things like that, that elections that are not fairly done, an election where a lot of people will be killed and all that, and the president will not come and condemn it and still accept glory.
But thank you. But it's not poverty that's making people like those candidates asking the president to help them to win the election.
No, because it's like that takes you back to what I said, talks. You mentioned education. Most of the people there are not educated enough to rule us, mentally and otherwise. So now, if you can publicly say, I rigged for you to win, so you must rig for me to win, that's nasty.
I'm not quite sure if they said that.
Well,
they
maybe they didn't put it that way. They didn't put it that way. But then if you then will tell you the president to look into INEC to make sure you win election, what does that tell us?
No, it doesn't really mean that maybe they might have helped the president to rig election.
Yes.
You know, because people in Nigeria, as we are saying here, in Nigeria, people see the president as all and all.
Yes.
That he can command anything. That is why in Nigeria, decisions don't work. Rather than decisions work, people work.
Exactly.
If you are president, people think that you can do anything. Yeah. But there is a constitutional regulation for you. Yeah, there's constitutional stipulation what you can do and what you cannot do. People assume that as a president you can do anything, and that is why if you go to the states, people see the governors as all and all. Everyone gravitates to the governor. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help us.
No, it doesn't.
It does not help us as a country. Yeah. So as we have said now, people will see most of them who are governing them as not supposed to be there. Yeah. How do we choose people who people want to be in power? How do we make them to come to power? Do we blame the party, the way they choose candidates, or the individuals who vote, as you have said, out of being poor, out of poverty? Somebody will give you salt, give you rice, then to buy your conscience for 4 years. Is that how we develop as a country?
It's difficult because we in diaspora, you will expect us also to have a different frame of mind when it comes to that. But I've spoken to a few of Nigerians, especially in my show. I refuse to discuss politics lately. We have a show together, Prime View, with Spencer and I, but we haven't come out actually to analyze this because somehow Nigeria being part of me, I am so bitterly upset about this past 2019 election, in that most of the things we expected. I'm not for PDP, I'm not for APC. All I wanted was a clean democracy to run. But it didn't. And most of us in diaspora are still not, I wouldn't say blinded to it, but we're still supporting whatever. A few of them said, oh, Nigeria election, you have to do this. It's always been there. You have to rig for, and every party has to rig. It's who outrigs each. Openly.
I'd like to say, I think part of the problem is how some of these people emerge. I mean, if we look at the way the APC, they decided to go with the direct primaries, and as opposed to the indirect primaries, that's been the norm over the years with the PDP especially. And I think with the direct primaries, what you tend to see is you have people that are popular among the party, so they're voted in by members of the party to come through, as opposed to people being handpicked. So if we can start gravitating towards that, you start seeing more credible people that are people's choice emerging. And these are the kind of people that would have the people's interest at heart, as opposed to people who've been handpicked to come, by godfathers, obviously, to come. And that's why you see this kind of violence, because what you see is people who've been picked and sponsored with money, and obviously you need to protect and then defend your investment. That's what it is in Nigerian politics. So that investment needs to be protected, and even if it means using violence, they will have to do it, because it's an investment. But if we come to the stage where people come through the party via people being voted in legally because they're popular, right, you're not going to see this level of violence, because they're there on their own back.
Yeah, that brings up the issue of the role of money in politics.
Yes.
Most of the time you see, even during the primaries, let's take the PDP, because they had a semblance of primary. Because APC had a president in power who wanted to run, and there was no challenger.
Yeah.
But PDP had some candidates.
Yeah.
And we heard about the role money played. So people said that the person that won gave every delegate about $5,000.
Yes.
So how many people can afford this $5,000? And again, before you can take a form to run as a president in Nigeria, you are going to pay more than almost 30 million naira. It depends. Every year they change it. Before they change it, you could pay 30 million naira to get a form. How many people who want to serve Nigeria can afford 30 million naira to buy form?
True.
You're talking about, you have a constituency that is 6 states. How do you go? How do you campaign? How do you fund your campaign? So, what role should money play in Nigerian politics? Spencer.
I think money has its place even in the UK here, or even in the United States. There are some. Like INEC has its own, stipulated rules as to how much money a party is allowed to spend during campaigns and otherwise. So I think money has its role, but in Nigeria, what we see is where money is the all and all. There's no ideology, right? You see where someone comes and decides that this is how it's going to go. I want to put this person in this position as a governor, as a senator. He will choose who goes into positions using his money, pushing people in. So at the moment in our level of development, we can't say we have an ideology until we get to the stage where we have ideology in our politics. Money would always be the tool that you use. And don't forget that we have a country that's very large. This is a country with 774 local governments. Even the polling booths, to even man the polling booths, we're talking about a country that has over 119,973 polling booths. Imagine the magnitude of even overseeing that. So it's a large country. Money is inevitably going to be part of politics in Nigeria, but we need to get to a stage where ideology starts creeping in, which would limit.
Money is important, but we're talking about money, using money to buy candidates, to buy votes, to buy people, to buy delegates. That is why we are where we are today. Using money to buy delegates, instead of allowing them to vote their choice.
Yeah, that's because, like I keep on saying, it boils back down to poverty of the mind, poverty of the pocket. And that's the reality, because people are poor in Nigeria.
I think you're coming from also, it's like picking a candidate.
Yeah.
Like you use the word PDP. I'm not going to, maybe I'll publicly say that maybe that's where they made a mistake. They wanted the money bag that can challenge the party, the ruling party. And I think that was why they picked Atiku. Because he had the capacity to challenge and all that, to beat, money by, because the ruling party usually is the money bag. And then if checking all the candidates they had, he's the only person that could challenge it. And I think that was why they picked him. This time around, it wasn't the poverty thing and all that. It's the party now sitting and saying, okay, this is who we think will go and represent us. And I believe that's how also the governors, if you don't have money like what's going on in Imo State and other states, Abia State, if you don't have the money, nobody will vote for you. Nobody will even listen to you. Because that's what you use to campaign.
Because there's no ideology.
There's no ideology. That's the thing.
issue.
It's just money. It's just money. And if you're thinking that, even in the US or even here, there's always money politics. You know, but it's just that the Nigerian one is just thrown on the table.
So why is that? Why are things the way? We always resent to the fact that this is Nigeria, anything can happen. Can we ever get it in Nigeria?
Well, we saw what happened now. We saw the emergence of the new political parties. That's why we were very hopeful that some of them would, even though we knew they weren't going to win, but we were hopeful that they could sustain, you know, their ideology. Some of them had ideology, like the YPP had the ideology of youth coming into politics. The AAC, Shawari's party, had to take it back. Let's grab, you know, he had some sort of something that people could look towards, you know, but fundamentally, we still need to have real ideological parties that would be looking at how to better the welfare of people, you know, where people can say, I identify with that party because I know that since the governor was there under that party, he's been doing this and that, you know, X, Y, Z for us. And that's why, whether you like it or not, with the APC coming up now, we saw semblances of social welfareism, where they were giving, you know, trader money. They were giving out feeding program. They were doing.
People say that was a
political
gimmick.
gimmick.
That's what you would say.
That's what it was.
No, that's what you would say. But it's hitting to the core.
It's not me saying people like this.
No, I know that's what people say. But it's hitting to the core of how people see this party now. That look, this is a party that has the welfare of people at heart, and that's an ideology.
But sorry, since the election ended, we have not seen them on the road again giving the trader money.
Well, we still need to give them. The elections are not over yet. He's talking about supplementary elections. Elections are not over, so we have to wait till the elections are over. And then,
now you talked about party politics.
Yeah.
Can you? What do we have more than 80 political parties in Nigeria?
I think it's 91.
Is this sustainable in Nigeria? Can that number of parties be sustainable in Nigeria?
It's not. It's something that I see as it's terrible. You know, where do you draw the line? That's why somehow money in a way could be the stopping, like something that could stop that happening. Because if the political parties have guidelines as to you need to attain X amount of members, for instance, you need to have X amount of money, right? I'm telling you, some of those portfolio parties you're seeing would never exist because they won't be able to have that kind of money we're talking about. Two, they won't have the members that you need to show. And they, you know, and then that would make them wither away.
That takes us back to where we are, because then the same people the people ruling us will still continue being there.
No, but even when we go back to history, when IBB had the two-party kind of system, to me, whether you look, it depends on how you want to look at it. That's more like a more, you know, you can see it has more of an ideology. So you're pandering either to the right or to the left. You know, there's a bit of what am I seeing? It wasn't merely about money then, but now you're seeing people opening their own political parties because they're looking at who's there. After the elections, I'm going to go to him. He'll probably give me some money. You know, it's all money all around. So we need to get to the stage where we can put in structure measures in place to curb people that are not real contenders and give room for real politics to start thriving in Nigeria.
So, Mali, can we suggest to INEC that they should window out most of these parties? We have more than 80 political parties in Nigeria.
Yes, when we were
because some of them didn't get, some people didn't get votes across the country.
Yes, but you know, before I address INEC, I need to address the young parties that were for. A lot of them came up together. The mistake they made too, they would have given these people a run for their money. But the mistake, there was a time Charlie Boy they had their, what do they call it again? The PAC thing?
Yeah, the PAC. Yeah, PAC.
About 14 small, I don't use the word, mushroom parties came together, you know, to join a coalition. That would have worked. Because I campaigned for the youth, for the young to come and rule. Not even all these recycled politicians, were tired of them, regardless one or two party politics in Nigeria. So now, if they can come together, I'm not saying cut them out right now, leave them till 2023. Then let's see if they're reasonable enough to come together. Even if it is 20 small parties, come together as one. Let's see if we can make change. All I want is a positive change for Nigeria. We've had this change 2015. It came and passed. People are still complaining. Now we have it come back. I hope this time around there will be more positive things to show
Okay,
us.
thank you. Let's go for a quick break.
Okay.
Let's go for a quick break now. We come back.
The information that you need, from business to economy to politics to technology. And that's all we do here on Newspunch, from the beginning to the end. And that is why we are here. Keep watching Newspunch from Ben Television. And today, bye.
Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the newest home away from home in the Nigerian hospitality industry. 10 minutes only from the local and international airports. It's the perfect spot for your relaxation whenever you're in Lagos. 24-hour non-stop electricity, cozy and colorful rooms, Wi-Fi internet connection, and flat screen cable television. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. Our exquisite restaurant and full bar are simply second to none in taste and style. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. We are located at the posh serene neighborhood in the Keja Business District. Your satisfaction is our first concern, so we train our staff to be professional and personable. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, number 20 Moshuda Bella Crescent, Ikeja, Lagos. Telephone +234 1291 7929 +234 708 287 7512. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the new home away from home.
Business, technology, the totality of what makes man is what we bring to you here on Newspunch. We give you the information that you need, from business to economy to politics to technology. And that's all we do here on Newspunch, from the beginning to the end. And that is why we are here. Keep watching Newspunch from Ben Television.
Welcome back. We are still discussing the outcome and the challenges of the supplementary elections scheduled for Saturday. And my guests are still here. Now we are going to talk about an issue that is still outstanding. The incumbent governor of Imo State contested for the senatorial election, and then he was apparently declared winner by the REC in Imo State, who now accuse him of putting him under duress to declare the election result in his favor. And when he got to the national level, INEC chairman and the whole of INEC, they stopped him from receiving the certificates, which means that he is not yet a senator and may never be if he's not given certificates. What does that tell us? What do we know? What do we say about that?
Well, we all know the genesis of the...
Sorry, before you continue, I want to let the viewers know that the phone line is open. The number you call is 0207 536 0382. 0207 536 0382. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we all know the genesis of the problems and the woes that befell Governor Rocha Sokorocha. This was a man who came in with so much goodwill. I mean, Imolites overwhelmingly voted for him, and voted out Ike Del Hakim at the time. And in his first tenure, you can say he did relatively well. He did roads, he did a lot of infrastructure at the time. But when it seems that something went wrong with him. Power, like they say, intoxicates. He came to a stage where they wanted to, obviously it's his second tenure. Towards the end of it, he needed to present, the party needed to present somebody for Imo State. And he was hell-bent on presenting his son-in-law. And when that happened, the party machinery said, well, they were not in support of him, but he insisted.
So what we are talking about is
No,
INEC in a position
yes,
to
I'm going to get there.
withhold certificates.
Yeah, I'm going to get them. No, we're looking at the antecedent. So when that happened, obviously I'm trying to tell you the reason why the actions that INEC are accusing him of happened. Well, because we're now seeing somebody who's drowning. You know, he was doing whatever he could to hold on. This is the allegation so far, that the INEC, the REC officer said that he was held against his will. Yeah, he was held hostage basically. He was given a 1 hour time frame to announce the results under duress. And obviously no INEC institution would hear such a thing and let it go without some form of investigation. So at the moment, I think what they're doing is they suspended it. They're not giving him a certificate. But I know there's some investigations going on to find out what really happened.
Yeah, but the INEC said that, INEC officials said that they have done the investigation and found, corroborated what the official said, that it was under duress. And then they will have another meeting to decide what to do. Yeah. And Okorocha told the people that he knew that if, as they have withheld the results, that INEC is planning a special meeting for him where they will present the result to certificate to him. We, the INEC, came and debunked and said that anybody, unless you are living on a fool's paradise, that you can think of that. Well, does INEC have the rights to withhold the certificates?
Well, I don't think so. In that, before, that wasn't the first stage that such rumors came up, that he won an election under duress. In Anambra State, Ifeanyi also, they announced also that it was under duress. But the INEC chairman there came and debunked it and said it wasn't through. So now, did they investigate that too? Or the man just came and said, no, it wasn't through?
Sorry, I find what you're talking about. Did the Resident Electoral Commissioner say that he was under duress to announce the results?
Yes, initially it came up that it was under duress, that he was forced to announce the results. Yeah. He won it under YPP, because that's the party I was actually supporting initially. So, but then the same man came back and made a statement that it wasn't under duress. Okay. So now, to me, there's something missing there.
Yeah, you're talking about that of Okorocha.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Unless there's something INEC has against Okorocha, the way I see it. If they have the evidence, like they say they have something, let them table it out before you're not guilty. You shouldn't be punished before you're guilty. Let them table it out before they seize the destiny. Don't just seize, and there's speculations or rumors also that he's been suspended from APC. So why
those
all
are
that?
Two different things.
I know, but why all these things to a particular man? I'm not supporting
if I may come in, the reason why they gave for suspending him was that he played, it's not the only one that was suspended, that he played, he was playing double game. Anti-party activity. He was supporting another party against his own party where he belonged. That reason they gave for suspending him. What you're talking about is the validity of what INEC did, the legality. Spencer, what do you say?
Benga didn't do it.
But what
did it too?
What I was going to say is that the INEC, obviously there are INEC rules. There's the Electoral Act, which gives INEC the rights and the road. It gives them the power and authority to take away the mandate of the people, to take action where they feel there's been some infractions. And I think INEC reacted to that. So at the moment, if the governor feels he's been somehow shortchanged, he needs to take it to the right place, which is the courts.
So you are advising not go to court?
Yeah, that's the only option he has.
He may say that for example, that even though he was announced at the state level, he was not announced, I was not given the thing at the federal level.
No, but the INEC officer who made the announcement has come out openly to say it was done under duress. Yeah. That he was, so you can never take.
So can we sustain it on the fact that it was under duress? Can it be sustained?
Well, that's why it's up to Okorocha to now take legal action to reinstate, to get his if he feels his mandate reinstated. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Another issue that came up during the week was the announcement by the former governor of Ogun State, Otumba Benga Daniel, was telling me that he was resigning he was leaving active political party participation, partisan politics. And then, Fred is from PDP, he was in PDP. that he was now quitting politics. Only for us to hear that his supporters confronted him and said, no, why would you leave us? You have brought us this far, take us to APC. So now the man said that, well, if they have spoken, that is bound to agree with them. And that also brings another issue. This was a campaign manager director of Atiku. And now Atiku is ostensibly in the courts to prove that he won the election, supposedly. And now, invariably, he would require the witness of OGD, who was his campaign director, to verify, to claim that position. Given what he has done so far, of declaring for APC, or about to declare for APC, or sympathetic to APC, what do you have to say about that? People say it's betrayal. People say it was okay. That's not the way of Nigerian politicians. Yeah. Where do you stand?
It's sheer betrayal. If
okay.
It's facts, if it's facts, it's sheer betrayal.
Why is it betrayal?
Because one, it's like you now say that Okorocha played double politics. Indirectly, it's double politics. So all along he was with PDP, he wasn't with PDP. You can't tell me because you lost election in less than 3 weeks or 4 weeks, your party followers are now telling you to take us to another party. And you agreed when you're not just a member of that party, you're a solid member of a party, working hand in hand with the presidential candidate. I believe it's a total betrayal. He already, all along, he knew he was working for the opposition.
Some people say that he was a mole in PDP.
I wouldn't say he's a mole. The thing is, he had a hand in bringing out the eventual winner of the Ogun State gubernatorial elections. He was someone he supported, and the person emerged. And this is typical of Nigerian politics. Like I keep on saying, it's politics of interest we play in Nigeria. It's not about ideology. It's all about what I stand to gain. And there's going to be more. This is the first person. Okay. There's going to be more people going down this line to join the APC.
Let us hear him now. Let us hear him.
What they have said. Basically, they said, well, they agree that I could resign from PDP. They said I must lead them to APC. And they said I cannot retire from politics. That's the summary of what I heard. And then we have to now take a look at it.
What are you saying now, sir?
What else can I say? My people have spoken. I have not much to say. Nothing to add again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. What do you see? You heard him.
Yes.
I have nothing more to say. So what does that imply?
What he's telling you is that the man he supported, Dapo Abiodun, that was his person who emerged, who's now going to be the governor-elect. His people are the people that are telling him to come back. So the point is, in Nigeria, we're never going to see the end of this until politics starts taking on ideology. There's going to be more people towing this line. I can even name in my head, but I'm not going to mention names. People that are going to be coming from the PDP camp soon over to the APC. We've heard names of people like, the rumors like Saraki and all of that wanted to come back. There are all these rumors going on. But the thing is, until we get to the stage where it's politics of some sort of ideology, where people have shame, this cross carpet in, I know it's difficult to put a law in place, but if there's going to be some sort of a law that would make it at least difficult to, it means you can't cross carpet more than once or something, that would start limiting these kind of things we see. But at the moment, based on what I know about Nigerian politics, I don't blame him. He's going after where his interest lies. And his interest at the moment lies in this new governor that's emerged in Ogun State, who's an APC member. And you can't fault him for it.
Well, that is a new development now we are seeing.
It is.
For example, somebody is in this party supporting someone else in another party. I mean, what does it say about our politics in the country? What does it say?
That's not democracy, and that's just
Is it just self-interest or selfishness?
Like in River State. What's his name? Amechi.
Yeah, I'm not Minister Amechi. Yeah.
Amechi is APC. During the governor election, he came and declared everybody should support Shore's party for governorship.
The AAC, yeah?
AAC, yes. What does that tell you?
Yeah, that's because APC,
yeah,
they
but that's
had no candidate.
APC, remember before the election, APC the court declared that APC had no candidates.
Yes.
So there was nobody to vote for. The people in the party couldn't vote for any other person. They won't go for PDP. So in order to avoid a lacuna, a kind of vacuum, he said, I'm taking you because Nigeria believe in politics of followership, follow me where I go.
Yeah.
And let my followers go and vote for AAC.
Yeah.
To avoid that, to avoid PDP coming to power.
Yes.
And let me challenge all our resources to AAC. That is why he did that. Because if APC had a candidate, he would not do that. He will not allow. He wouldn't let his party not to win or not to contest. But others of that, he had to align with another party, another political party.
Yeah.
So that's what Benga Daniel.
I think what we're seeing with former Governor Benga Daniels again is you can see that he's made himself into a godfather, kinda. He's a godfather of sorts. That's what he just showed the whole world now. That look, that as far as Ogun State's concerned, he still remains relevant, and that's what he showed you. So it doesn't matter what party, where he belongs. He's telling you that the people still want him to remain. They know what he's capable of, and they're calling him back. And that's how politics in Nigeria is. It's still politics of godfatherism. We can see what happened in Lagos State, for instance, where an incumbent governor was pushed out of his position by a godfather, you know, and he was doing a good job. It's not like he was doing badly. Governor Ambode wasn't doing, he's still not doing badly. But when a godfather says, look, this is what's going to happen, this is what happened. And so all he's done is told you, look, that I still call the shots in this state. I'm still powerful here, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to do what I can do. So the PDP is not about party. That's what people don't understand in Nigeria. It's not about the party is just a vehicle to achieve an aim. It's the platform. It's a vessel. It's like a vessel that takes you to. It's like what Peter Obi said before the election. Peter Obi said that the reason he joined the PDP was that the PDP was like an aeroplane that would take him. You know, it's like going onto a smaller vehicle that wouldn't take you to Lagos. Who do you get on a flight? The one that takes you quicker. So it's seen as a platform to get to where you want to be. So it's not about, there's no ideology. That's why I keep on going back to the ideology. When we get to a stage where we have ideology, it's like in the UK, the Labour Party, the Conservatives, the Green Party, you stand for something. That's when you can't see this kind of moving around. You have people that, like in the UK, I'm a Labour supporter, I'm a Labour voter. I've never voted for the Conservatives, no matter who comes. Sometimes I like the candidates of the Conservatives, but because of that same ideology, I still vote for, even if it's a weak candidate that they present in Labour, I still vote for him, because that's how we've been groomed here. But in Nigeria, what you see is politics of interest, politics of godfatherism, politics of where in Broken they call it wherever, which way belle face. You know, that's what you see in Nigeria.
Yeah, you are talking about. Okay, let us get. There's a caller from London. Hello, Prince. Prince,
please.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Prince.
Good evening. I'd just like to chip in on what our friend, the man in the suit. Good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling from?
I've just said now. I'm calling from Manchester,
Okay.
in the UK.
Okay, call on with your call.
Hello?
Can you? Yeah, we are listening to you. We are listening to you.
Thank you. The gentleman just spoke. Thank you. The gentleman just spoke about one godfather in Nigeria or in Lagos who pushed aside the governor. That is not the case.
Go ahead.
That is not the case.
Okay, what is the case? Tell us.
The correct issue is that the governor of that state was not doing enough, was not doing what he was supposed to do.
Are you still on?
think he's
Have we
maybe
lost
you
him?
can
Is it gone?
respond to it.
Okay.
Like we lost him.
Okay.
Can you respond to what he said? He said
Well,
it's not so. I want to ask him
he's saying the governor did not do what he
was supposed to do.
Yeah, well, we're all witnesses to what's been happening in Lagos State. We saw what Governor Fashola did, and we saw how Governor Ambode took it forward. I mean, we're not blind. Nigerians know what happened, and whether we like it or not, it came to the party. It became a party problem, internal issue, where within the party, the party was basically divided. People were saying, look, this man's doing a good job. Others said no, because of the Godfather. But what you tend to see in Nigeria is this same politics of following, like you said, they'll follow the leader. Yeah. So when the leader, yes, Lagos State is doing well, he laid the foundation, right, said this is where he wants it to go. That's where they go. But the point I was trying to raise was the point of Godfatherism in Nigerian politics. That was the main issue I was trying to raise. And whether you like it or not, in Lagos State, there is a Godfather in Lagos State. Everyone knows who he is, right? And he calls the shots. So in Ogun State, we've just witnessed somebody who's come out openly and said to you, look, my people still want me. You understand? So Godfatherism is here to stay in Nigerian politics.
Okay. We want to thank Prince for calling in. The thing is that what he said that he was not doing what he was supposed to do. I remember that some time ago they asked Tinubu what his gross was against Ambode. Tinubu was on record to say that the man actually was not responding to his people, because in that, what it means. If he could carry bullion van to his house, to his residence prior to the election,
yes,
it was like Ambode was not bringing out the money
so he wasn't sharing.
to share.
Yeah.
Because that is what they understand.
Yeah.
That's what they understand. So maybe that's what the caller meant by saying he was not doing what he was supposed to do.
Okay.
He was not ready to bring out the money to share to people. Just like the person you referred to, Apitobi, will tell you that when he was in government house, he was not sharing money with anybody.
And he made so many enemies.
And he made so many enemies and left money in the purse for the incoming governor.
Yes.
You get it? So that brings us to the issue of Godfatherism. How is it a blessing or a curse on Nigeria? Godfatherism. Is it developmental or is just to serve the interests of a person?
Should I take it?
Yeah, well, I think is like I said also, they go there for their own interest, not for the interest of the masses. So it's not for the interest of the politician. It's not for the interest. It's not for the interest of. It's just for the interest of the father, the Godfather that put them there. The name, the word, power intoxicates. So when you have this power to put whoever you want to put in there, you're up there. There's nobody taking it away from you. So it's for the interest of the person that the Godfather. And yes, it exists in Nigeria. Like you're asking, how should we stop corruption? How should we stop violence? Next thing you ask is, how do we stop Godfatherism in Nigeria?
Okay, we have the last 1 minute to go.
I'd say it could be good and bad, right? There's pros and cons. In Lagos State, for instance, I must say, Godfatherism has propelled Lagos State to where it is today. You have one person who's a leader, he's led the way, he's decided how things should go. But in other states, unfortunately, across Nigeria, Godfatherism has been, so it's doing more harm than good in Nigeria. But we can see, definitely, there's a beacon of light in Lagos, and I hope whoever wants to be a good father should follow the example being laid in Lagos State.
Wanted to
Okay,
be.
thank you so much. Thank you, Spencer, for being in the program.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Marlene, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you, our viewers, for keying up and listening to us. Till next time, we say good evening.
The totality of what makes man is what we bring to you here on Newspunch. We give you the information that you need, from business to economy